Jamie, last part of this question, but let's take a step back. Where do you get started?
Yeah, so here's some good recommendations. I think that the first thing is try to find like a goal or objective that you have from a business case perspective. Like we find that that's really important. Like, hey, are you trying to improve customer experience, or are you trying to reduce costs or contain costs in a certain area, or a combination of those things? I think that's a good starting point. So defining that goal and objective, that'll trickle into what type of use cases you would actually implement, from an AI perspective. I think the other part of it is after understanding, and it also helps you define kind of the metrics, what the outcomes you're looking for, right? So just some thought part, and that has to really come from the business. The second part of it is trying to understand like what your infrastructure from a technology perspective looks like and data perspective. Hey, do you have the enabling areas? Do you have the cloud connectivity, right? Because most of this AI is coming through the cloud. Anybody's doing AI on-prem is probably not a good solution any longer. That was so expensive, burdensome. Only the biggest companies could do that kind of stuff in the real world, and that's why now it's available to everybody, because it's cloud-based. So you've got to make sure you've got that cloud connectivity in some form or another. That's your infrastructure. The data. Hey, making sure that you got either data to help train the application you're going to do, so you have some history. So that's a starting point. Or that you have access to being able to use data from certain areas. So do you have those APIs available from your databases or your information centers that you want, or knowledge bases to use in this application? Very important, right? And then looking at the next step is, hey, finding the right products and technology partners with it. You don't have to do this alone. There's a lot of resources nowadays. I think, but making sure it's a good fit for you of where you're at with your AI journey. Make sure that you see that there's a roadmap, because you're not going to start with all of those applications at once, right? That's where I think you start with, one or two. You start smaller, by the way, crawl, walk, run in this area. But what I've found is if you can find the crawl, walk, run, crawl on making sure there's an ROI and improvement, your organization is going to want more and more of this, right? They're just going to fund it. They're going to like it. Your people are going to like it. Your agents are going to like it. Then you have a win-win scenario. And then obviously you have to go through your testing and implementation stage, right? So as you do your testing, there's probably going to be some tuning that has to be done in order to optimize these systems going forward. So be prepared for that, right? And so, but I'd say it's all worthwhile depending on the use case you do. Just plan for, and again, listen to there's specialists like Wilmac, Five9, others out there in the world that you can go and consult with and talk about. Sometimes it's free consulting, and then sometimes you want to go to a consultant that might be a very specialized person in this area just to help guide you through it, but those are always helpful options.
Mm-hmm. Great. All right, I'm going to keep the ball rolling because we're going a little bit longer than expected, but I'll move us into the next question.